I caught my sister with my fiance. They ambushed me at Christmas, so I vanished. I walked into the apartment that night with a bag of Ethan's favorite takeout swinging from my hand. It was supposed to be a small surprise. Nothing dramatic, just noodles, scallions, and a quiet evening with the man I thought I was going to marry. His shoes were by the door, his jacket carelessly draped over the chair. Normal details except for the sound. Faint muffled laughter coming from the bedroom. At first I told myself it was a video, a phone call, anything ordinary. But my stomach already knew the truth before my brain caught up. I pushed the bedroom door open and the world I'd been building collapsed in one frame. Ethan was in bed, and so was Dana, my sister. They froze when they saw me. Ethan half covered with the blanket, Dana clutching at the sheet, her face pale but defiant. The shirt Ethan was wearing was mine, an oversized Valentine's tee I'd bought him last year. A silly gift that suddenly felt like a joke at my expense. Dana's mouth opened first. It's not what it looks like. The absurdity almost made me laugh. Ethan tried next, stumbling. Lid, just listen. But I didn't want explanations. There was nothing left to explain. My voice came out low, calm, in a way that surprised me. Pack your things and get out. Dana started crying, her words tumbling over each other. It just happened. We didn't mean to. You made choices. I cut in. Both of you. My eyes stayed on Ethan, not her. Watching his face shift between shame and calculation told me all I needed to know. He scrambled into his jeans, gathering his things like a man chased. At the door he hesitated, but I didn't. Keys, I said, hand out. He dropped them into my palm without a word and left. The click of the lock was louder than any slam. Dana stood there barefoot on the rug, she once complimented, tears streaking her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispered, as if the word could erase the sight I'd just walked in on. You're dead to me, I said simply. She flinched, grabbed her clothes, and left without looking back. The silence afterward was deafening. I wandered into the kitchen and found a note Ethan had scrawled on the counter. 4 lines. He claimed he had fallen in love with Dana. He insisted he never meant to hurt me. And he ended with the cruelty of a man who thought himself noble. I hope you can still be happy for us one day. I laughed. Not the kind of laugh that heals, the kind that tastes like blood. That night, I drove to Jenna's place, parked outside, and pressed my forehead to the steering wheel. My phone lit up with missed calls, Dad. Mom mad, even Dana. Against my better judgment, I called Dad back. His voice was sharp, furious, not at me, but at Dana. She's not welcome here, he spat. Not in this house. Part of me wanted to believe him. But I knew my father. His anger always came fast and faded faster. I hung up and answered when Mom called next. Her reaction was different. A long sigh, the kind she used when bills piled up or dinner burned. Well, things like this happen sometimes, she said, as if my sister sleeping with my fiance was spilled coffee. I stared into the dark streets, stunned. Things like this, I repeated. Don't do anything rash, Lydia. You and Ethan built a life together. Families survive worse. My chest went hollow. Families survive worse, but not mine, not me. I ended the call, muted my phone, and sat there in the silence until tears finally came shaking and unstoppable. They weren't just for Ethan, or even Dana. They were for the foundation I thought I had: a family, a partner, a home, and the realization that it had all been sand. Some betrayals tear open your chest. This one built a wall instead. And I knew even then that nothing would ever be the same. The morning after, I woke up on Jenna's couch with a stiff neck and swollen eyes. The takeout bag was still unopened on the counter, a cruel little reminder of how I thought the night would go. My phone buzzed nonstop until I finally turned it face down. The world outside was still moving, but mine had collapsed into pieces I didn't know how to arrange. By noon, my brother Matt called. His voice was tentative, almost guilty. I can't believe Dana did that. I'm on your side, Lid. You know that. But there was hesitation underneath, like he was still weighing which sibling offered the safer loyalty. I heard it. I filed it away. Dad called again later. His anger at Dana hadn't cooled yet. She's done, he barked. Not my daughter anymore. Ethan's out too. You don't need them? We'll take care of this. His certainty was loud, but I didn't trust it. Dad's fury was always loudest in the beginning. Over time, it softened into excuses. I knew it was only a matter of when. Then Mom called. This time, I let it ring twice before picking up. She didn't ask how I was. She just sighed like she was tired of repeating herself. Lydia, it's awful, but things like this happen. You'll ruin yourself if you hold on to this anger. Families are supposed to forgive. Forgive. The word lodged in my chest like a splinter. She wasn't talking about healing me. She was talking about preserving the image of family dinners and Christmas cards no matter how rotten the foundation was. I didn't argue. What was the point? I let her talk until her voice faded into background noise. The only thing that kept me upright was work. I started staying late at the office, pouring everything into spreadsheets and projects just to keep my mind from replaying the image of Dana in my bed. Katie, my boss, noticed. She called me into her office one Thursday evening. You're burning out, she said. But then her expression softened. There's an opening in Indianapolis. Team lead. It's a big step up and you'd be great at it. I blinked at her, surprised. Moving away had never been part of my plan. But the thought hit me like cold water, a chance to leave Milwaukee. A chance to escape every reminder. A chance to breathe. When I told my parents, the split reaction was almost laughable. Mom just said, good for you, a fresh start. Like I was moving apartments, not leaving behind the wreckage of my life. Dad's reaction was the opposite. He sounded betrayed. What about Sunday dinners? What about Christmas? You can't just leave us, Lydia. Dana won't be around. She's not part of this family anymore. His voice cracked on the word family, like he was trying to convince himself. I didn't believe him. I never did. By July, my suspicion was confirmed. Dad called casual as ever and dropped it into conversation. Dana was back in the house. She had nowhere else to go, he said. Like that made it reasonable. Like letting her back into his arms wasn't spitting on me. I remember gripping the phone so hard I thought it would crack. She's not my sister anymore, I told him. She's still my daughter, he replied, as if blood excused betrayal. Then came the speech I'd been dreading. We need to move on, Lydia. Heal as a family. You can't hold on to this forever. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. But inside I knew something had already broken. They'd made their choice, and it wasn't me. So I packed. Apartment by apartment, memory by memory, I boxed up what was mine and left the rest. The city I grew up in turned to ghosts. Every restaurant, every corner, every inside joke haunted by betrayal. Leaving Milwaukee didn't feel like surrender. It felt like survival. By the time August rolled around, I was in Indianapolis, a new apartment with clean walls and no history. No Dana, no Ethan, no family drama pressing down like a ceiling about to cave in. Just me, a stack of boxes, and the terrifying freedom of starting over. And for the first time since March, I breathed. By September, life in Indianapolis was starting to feel real. My new apartment smelled like fresh paint instead of betrayal. My mornings were quiet, my evenings filled with work and long walks around the city where nobody knew my name. For once, the silence wasn't suffocating. It was mine. Then came Dad's birthday. He called me a week before. His voice was warm, almost desperate. It's just the immediate family lid. No one else. Please come. I miss you. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed, don't do it. But guilt is a powerful thing. I told myself maybe it would just be him, Mom, and Matt. Maybe one night wouldn't unravel me. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The drive back to Milwaukee was long, every mile dragging up memories I wanted buried. When I pulled into the driveway, my stomach dropped. Too many cars, too much noise spilling from the windows. My pulse quickened as I spotted it. Dana's car parked bold as ever in the driveway. I almost turned the wheel and left. But something in me snapped. I wasn't going to give Dad the satisfaction of running away. I walked through the front door and Dad greeted me with a booming smile, arms wide, like nothing had ever happened. Lydia. I'm so glad you came. He pulled me into a hug that felt like a trap. And then I saw them. Dana and Ethan sitting on the couch, like honored guests, Ethan laughing at something Matt said, as if my presence was a joke. My voice cut through the noise, sharp and low. Why are they here? Dad's hand tightened on my arm as he tried to steer me into the living room. Let's talk, he whispered, like moving to another room would make the betrayal less obvious. He started his speech almost immediately. They made a mistake, but they're truly sorry. It's time to move forward as a family. Dana, with her rehearsed tears, leaned forward. I'm sorry, sis. It just happened. The words dripped with the same insincerity as before, like she'd spilled juice on the carpet instead of detonating my life. Ethan followed up with his empty line. We never meant to hurt you. He didn't even look ashamed, just inconvenienced. I studied their faces, searching for even a flicker of remorse. Nothing. Just entitlement wrapped in crocodile tears. I leaned in close enough for Dana to hear every syllable. You're a pathetic excuse for a sister. Then I turned to Ethan, my voice steady but ice cold. I hope she cheats on you too. You deserve each other. The room went silent. You could hear the tick of the grandfather clock in the corner. Dad tried to speak, his voice breaking. Lydia. But I stood up, cutting him off. Enjoy your golden girl. Don't call me again. And then I walked out my steps, sharp against the hardwood floor. I didn't look back. Not even when Dad called after me. Not even when Dana muttered something under her breath. Not even when Ethan's laugh died in his throat. That night, I blocked every number I could. Dad, Dana, even Matt, who hadn't done enough to defend me. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want explanations. I wanted freedom. And for the first time, I realized walking away wasn't weakness. It was power. By December, Indianapolis finally felt like mine. I had routines, a handful of new friends, and the kind of peace that comes only when you cut away the rot. I thought I was safe. Then Sam reached out. He was a cousin I barely knew. We'd spoken a handful of times at family gatherings, nothing more. His message was simple. He was moving to Indianapolis, nervous about being alone, and could I help him settle in? Part of me wanted to ignore it. After everything, any connection to my family felt like poison. But another part, the part that remembered what it was like to start fresh in a strange city, hesitated. Sam hadn't wronged me personally. He didn't deserve my silence. So I agreed. The weekend came gray skies and biting cold. I drove to the address. He sent me a small apartment complex tucked in a quiet neighborhood. For a moment, everything seemed normal. A U-Haul truck, boxes on the sidewalk, the smell of dust and cardboard. Then I saw them. Dana, Mom, standing by the truck, laughing at something only they found funny. My hands clenched the steering wheel so hard, my nails left half moon marks in my skin. My first instinct was to drive away, leave Sam to whatever help he thought he needed. But before I could move, the door opened. Dad stepped out, spotted me instantly, and waved like this was some family reunion instead of a calculated ambush. Lydia, wait, he called, jogging toward me with that same desperate smile he always wore when he wanted something. I stepped out of the car, but I didn't move closer. My voice cut through the cold air. What the hell is this? Dad launched into his usual script, rambling about Sam, needing support, about family unity, about healing. The words barely registered. All I could see was Dana inching forward, her eyes glassy with fake tears. "I'm sorry, Lydia," she whispered, her voice trembling like she'd practiced it in the mirror. "I know I messed up. I just want to fix things." I stared at her, unmoved. She had the nerve to act like betrayal was something you fix with a few well-timed tears. Then Mom stepped in, her tone dripping with that condescension she'd perfected over years. "You're holding on to a grudge, and it's tearing the family apart. Be the bigger person. Be the bigger person." The phrase echoed in my skull louder than the traffic on the street, louder than my dad's pleading voice. Be the bigger person. As if sleeping with my fiance was a spilled drink. As if betrayal was something you shrug off for the sake of family dinners. When Mom reached out her hand, brushing my shoulder, something inside me snapped. I didn't think. I didn't plan. My fist connected with her jaw, sharp and final. For a moment, everything went still. Mom stumbled back, eyes wide, hand pressed against her face. Dana froze. Dad's voice cracked as he cried out my name, tears streaming down his cheeks like I had shattered his world. I didn't wait for their reactions. I turned back to my car, my voice low and steady. "Don't follow me." Back home, I blocked Sam without a second thought. Pawn or accomplice, it didn't matter. He opened the door for them, and that was enough. Sitting on my couch later, hands still trembling, I let the reality settle. I wasn't proud of what I did, but I didn't regret it either. Sometimes anger is the only language people like them understand. And for the first time, I realized something brutal but true. They weren't my family anymore. After that day, outside Sam's apartment, something inside me hardened. It wasn't just about distance anymore, it was about survival. If they could plot an ambush once they could do it again, I wasn't going to give them another chance. By December, my life in Indianapolis had steadied. I had a job I liked, a circle of coworkers who actually cared, and for the first time in years, I was dating someone who treated me with respect. His name was Hunter, 24, a little younger than me, but grounded in all the ways that mattered. He listened, he believed me without needing proof, and most importantly, he never once pushed me toward forgiveness. When he invited me to spend Christmas with his family in Chicago, I felt something I hadn't in years: excitement. His parents were warm, welcoming, the type who argued playfully over board games and made hot chocolate like it was a ritual. His siblings included me in every tradition as if I'd been there all along. They even hung a stocking with my name stitched across the top. It was everything my own family never gave me: peace, warmth, a holiday without knives hidden behind smiles. But just when I thought I had escaped, a letter showed up in my mailbox. The handwriting was familiar, my dad's. I almost threw it out unopened, but curiosity won. Inside, page after page, spilled his desperation. Dana and Ethan had gotten married, he wrote, and my parents were now separated. He claimed the family was falling apart, that Christmas could be our chance to heal and move forward. His words dripped with guilt, the same kind he had always used to control me. "You're the glue, Lydia. Without you, we can't survive." I sat there, letter trembling in my hands, the memory of his ambush still raw. He didn't want healing. He wanted me to fold, to be the daughter who always carried everyone else's sins. When I showed the letter to Hunter, he didn't hesitate. "You don't owe them anything," he said quietly. "Family doesn't get to destroy you and then demand you save them." He was right. So that Christmas, I chose differently. I stayed with Hunter's family. I drank cider by the fire, laughed at bad jokes, and fell asleep under a blanket that smelled like pine and cinnamon. And for the first time, I realized family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up, who protects you, who makes you feel safe. And mine had never been the people in that letter. January came with a quiet rhythm. Work was steady, Hunter was supportive, and the chaos of my family felt like it was finally fading into the background. For weeks, I didn't hear a word from them. I started to believe maybe, just maybe, they'd given up. Then an email arrived. The sender's name made my stomach twist. Matt. My brother. I hovered over the message for hours before finally opening it. His words spilled across the screen like a plea dressed as an update. Mom was living in a cheap motel now. Dana and Ethan were broke, their marriage already cracking under the weight of lies and debt. He even wrote that Ethan had grown distant, as though karma itself had pulled up a chair at their dinner table. But beneath the details, I felt the trap. The email wasn't just information, it was bait. A lure back into the very mess I'd clawed my way out of. Did Matt want pity? Did he expect me to swoop in to fix everything like I always had? I stared at the screen, my fingers frozen on the keyboard. For a brief second, I imagined replying, imagined asking questions, imagined what it would feel like to let even a crack of empathy back in. But then I remembered the ambush at Dad's birthday. The fake apologies, the staged tears outside Sam's apartment. They had chosen their side long ago, and I had chosen mine. So I did the only thing I could. I closed the email, dragged it to the trash, and clicked block. That night, when I told Hunter what happened, he just nodded. "You've done the hard work of moving on," he said. "Don't let them reel you back in." And I realized he was right. The guilt I felt wasn't mine, it was theirs. Their mistakes, their betrayals, their chaos. None of it belonged to me anymore. For the first time, I let myself breathe deeply and believe it their downfall wasn't my responsibility. By June, my life had taken on a steady rhythm. Work was fulfilling, my relationship with Hunter was stronger than ever, and for the first time in years, my days weren't haunted by the constant shadow of my family. I had blocked them all, ignored their desperate attempts to worm their way back in, and created a life that was finally mine. Then came the knock. It was a warm Saturday morning. I had just laced up my shoes for a run when 3 sharp knocks rattled the door. At first, I thought it was a delivery, but when I looked through the peephole, my heart stopped. It was Matt. I hadn't seen him in over a year. He stood there shifting his weight from foot to foot, his eyes already red and wet. My first instinct was to stay silent, let him knock until he gave up. But some stubborn part of me turned the lock and opened the door just enough. "Lydia," he choked out, stepping forward like he was afraid I'd slam the door in his face. "I'm so sorry." For a moment, I couldn't even speak. His words didn't fit the brother I remembered, the one who had sat silently while Dad excused Dana, while Mom told me to be the bigger person. "I should have defended you," he continued. "I should have cut ties earlier. I cut them off now. Dana, Ethan, even Dad. I couldn't take it anymore." His apology landed heavy like a stone thrown into still water. Part of me wanted to laugh. Another part wanted to scream. "What do you want, Matt?" I asked flatly, crossing my arms. He hesitated, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "I just want to talk. Mom wants to talk too. Can we meet, please?" Every instinct screamed no. Every scar on my heart told me to shut the door. But there was something in his voice, something fragile, desperate that made me pause. Against my better judgment, I said yes. We agreed to meet at a diner on the edge of the city, one of those quiet places where the coffee is always burnt, but the booths give you privacy. I walked in with my guard up, rehearsing every possible excuse to leave if things went south. Matt was already there, hunched over a half-empty cup of coffee. Sitting beside him was Mom. I hadn't seen her since the day outside Sam's apartment when my fist connected with her jaw. The bruise had long faded, but the memory hadn't. She stood when I approached. "Lydia," she said softly, extending a hand. I didn't take it. I slid into the booth across from them and waited. "I'm sorry," Mom began. Her voice trembled, but it wasn't the kind of trembling that comes from honesty. It was the kind that comes from practice, from rehearsing an apology until it sounds believable. "I should have protected you. I should have handled things differently." It wasn't much, but for a moment, I felt a flicker of something like hope. Maybe, just maybe she meant it. And then the bell over the door jingled. Dad walked in. My stomach dropped. I hadn't agreed to this. His eyes darted to me, then softened into the same patronizing warmth he always used when he wanted something. And right behind him came Dana and Ethan. It was a setup. I pushed back from the booth immediately. "No. Lydia, wait." Matt pleaded, his hand brushing my arm. "Just hear them out." "Absolutely not." My voice was ice. Dana had the nerve to look at me with wide, watery eyes. "I'm sorry, sis. I know I messed up. We just want to move forward." I almost laughed. The audacity, the shamelessness. "You're not my sister," I snapped. Then I turned to Ethan. "And you, I hope she cheats on you. You deserve each other." The words hung in the air like broken glass. Dad tried to speak something about forgiveness, about family unity, but I cut him off. "You're not my family anymore." I tossed a few bills on the table for the untouched coffee stood and walked out without looking back. Their voices followed me, a chorus of excuses and pleas, but none of it mattered. Because in that moment, something inside me solidified there was no going back. After the diner ambush, I knew there was nothing left to salvage. Whatever flicker of hope Matt's tears had stirred in me was gone. I blocked his number the moment I got home. For weeks, I felt a strange mix of grief and relief. Grief for the family I'd once believed in, relief, because now there were no more illusions left. Life with Hunter was steady, like a quiet current after years of stormy seas. He didn't push me to talk about my family, but when I did, he listened. Really listened. His patience, his calm presence, reminded me daily of what love was supposed to feel like: safe, steady, and unconditional. When he proposed at our favorite park, there was no spectacle, no audience, no performance. Just him on one knee with trembling hands, asking me to spend forever with him. I cried happy tears this time and said yes. That moment was mine, untouched by betrayal or manipulation. A few months later, I found out I was pregnant, a baby girl. For the first time since everything with Dana and Ethan, I felt like the universe was giving me a chance to start fresh, to create something pure. Still, there was one thing holding me back: my last name. It felt like a shackle, an echo of people I no longer claimed. So I filed the paperwork. Standing in front of the judge, hearing the gavel fall, I felt lighter. Hunter even joked that he'd take my new last name when we married. "We're starting our own legacy," he said. And he was right. From that day on, I stopped looking backward. Bits and pieces of family gossip still reach me, sometimes through mutual acquaintances. I don't ask for it, but it finds me. Apparently, my parents are separated now. Mom living in a cramped rental on the outskirts of town. Dad rattling around the old family house like a ghost trying to keep up appearances. Dana and Ethan karma seems to have done its work. They're drowning in debt, their marriage crumbling from the same rot they once injected into mine. Ethan lost his job. Dana's barely holding on. I should feel pity. I don't. Matt tried one last time, sending a letter months ago. I didn't open it. Straight into the trash. His regret, their regret, it's not my responsibility to carry. What I've learned is this: blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. Respect does. Love does. And when those are absent, all that's left are strangers with matching last names. I refuse to let those strangers dictate my life any longer. Now with Hunter by my side and a daughter on the way, I finally understand what it means to build peace on my own terms. No more waiting for apologies that don't come. No more hoping people will be who they've proven they aren't. Some nights, I still think about that day, the moment I opened my bedroom door and saw everything unravel in front of me. It used to feel like the end of my story. But now I realize it was only the beginning. Because the real ending is this: I walked away, I stayed away, and I built something better. And they will spend the rest of their lives explaining the empty seats in family photos, The missing invitations, the milestones they'll never witness. Me. I'll be too busy living. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Your likes, comments, and shares keep these stories coming.